The first question says, write 23% as a fraction. So whenever you have a percent, basically the number has a denominator of 100. So you just rewrite this as 23 over 100, and that's your answer. Then it says change 800 centimeters to meters. So if 1 meter has 100 centimeters, 1 centimeter will have 1 over 100 meters. So to change 800 centimeters to meters, we divide 800 by 100, and that gives us 8 meters. The next question says that write down the value of the 3 in the number 62,837. So that's 30 or 3 tens. Question 4 says simplify 7a plus a minus 5a. So 7a plus a is 8a, and 8a minus 5a is 3a. Question 5 says write the following fractions in order of size starting with the smallest fraction. So we have half, 2 over 3, and 1 over 4. 1 over 4 is the smallest because that's a quarter. Then we have half, and then we have 2/3. Question 6 says a map has a scale of 1 centimeter represents 4 kilometers. On the map, the distance from town A to town B is 8 centimeters. Work out the real distance in kilometers from town A to town B. So if on map 1 centimeter represents 4 kilometers and the distance is 8 centimeters, actual distance will be 8 times 4, which is 32 kilometers. Then it says the real length of a road is 10 kilometers. Work out the length of the road on the map. Give the units of your answer. So if the real length is 10 kilometers, so on the map it's going to be 10 divided by 4, which is basically 2.5 centimeters. That is your answer. Question 7 says Julie asked some students how they travel to school. The chart shows her results. So we have number of students on the y-axis and method of travel on the x-axis. Write down which method of travel is the mode. So mode is basically your highest frequency. So for keeping that in mind, highest frequency is shown by a bus because that has a number of students of 9. That's your mode. Then it says more students walk to school than cycle to school. How many more? This is walk and this is cycle. So for walk, we have 8 students, and for cycle, we have 3 students. So we subtract the 2, and the answer is 5. Question 8 says Aisha was born in 1993. There was an election the year of Aisha's birthday, Aisha's 18th birthday. There is an election every 5 years. Will there be an election in 2030? You must show how you get your answer. If we add 18 to 1993, we can know which year the election took place. So that's basically 2011. That's her 18th birthday. This is when the election took place. Now they're saying there's an election every 5 years. So till 2030. So if we keep on adding 5 till 2030, so 5, then 5. So that's going to be over here 2016. That's going to be 2021. Another 5. That's going to be 2026. And then another 5 would give us 2031. So will there be election in 2030? No, because the next election is taking place, and after 2026, it's 2031. Question 9 says Lucia is going on a skiing holiday. The cost of ski hire is 26 pounds per day. The cost of a lift pass is 45 pounds per day. The cost of ski lessons is 23.50 pounds per hour. Lucia will pay for ski hire for 5 days, lift pass for 4 days, and ski lessons for 8 hours. She has 500 pounds. Show that Lucia has enough money to pay for the total cost of ski hire, lift pass, and the ski lessons. So for this, Let's find how much she's picking in total for like the 5 days, 4 days, and 8 hours for the 3 separate things. So for ski hire, per day is 26 pounds. So 26 times 5, which is going to give us 130 pounds. Then we have the lift pass. That's going to be 45 times 4. That's 180 pounds. And then lastly, your ski lessons. That's 23.50 times 8. That's 188 pounds. So now we have the total cost. So that's 130 plus 180 plus 188. That gives us 498 pounds. So does she have enough money? Yes, she does. Question 10 says, here's a circle. On the diagram above, draw a radius of the circle. So radius is your distance from the center of the circle to the circumference. So it can be any line. You can draw it like this. You can draw it like this. Anything, as long as it's coming from the center and going towards the circumference. All of these are the radius. Then here's another circle. Write on the mathematical name for the straight line inside the circle. So this straight line is called a chord. Question 11 says there are 8 episodes in a TV series. Each episode lasts 45 minutes. Work out the total time that the 8 episodes last. Give your answer in hours. So if each episode is for 45 minutes and there are 8 episodes, 1 hour equals to 60 minutes. That means 1 minute equals to 1 over 60 hours. So 45 minutes, it's going to be 45 over 60. And number of episodes are 8, so we times that by 8. So that will give us 6 hours in total. Question 12 says, write down 3 prime numbers that are between 20 and 40. So 23, then 29, 31, and 37. So you can write any of these 3 prime numbers. Question 13 says, James asked students in year 10 and year 11 to name their favorite language from French or German or Spanish. The two-way table shows information about the results. Complete the two-way table. So we have a total of 207 people and a total of 113 for year 11. So you can find the total of year 10 students by doing 207 minus 113, which is going to give us 94. Now over here, we have a total of 67 for people who like Spanish. And from year 10, there are 34 people who like Spanish. So you can find the number of people in year 11 who like Spanish by subtracting these two. So that's 67 minus 34, which gives us 33. Similarly, now we can find the number of people in year 11 who like French by subtracting 45 and 33 from 113. So that's 113 minus 45 minus 33, and that gives us 35 over here. Now to find the total number of people who like French, we can add these two. So 35 plus 33, and that's going to be 68. Then for German, we can find the total number of people in year 10 and year 11 who like German by subtracting 68 and 67 from 207. 27 minus 68 minus 67, that gives us 72. And lastly, for the people in year 10 who like German, we subtract 45 and 72, which gives us 27. So that's your answer. Question 14 says, table gives information about the drinks people ordered in a cafe. Draw an accurate pie chart for this information. So for this, first we need to find the individual angles for coffee, hot chocolate, and tea. So for coffee, it's going to be 30 over the total number of people, which is going to be the sum of these. 30 plus 10 plus 50, which is basically 90. 30 over 90 times 360. The reason why we're timesing it by 360 is because 360 is the angle for a complete circle. Out of that 360, we're trying to find what portion of the 360 is the angle for coffee, what is for hot chocolate, and what's for tea. So for coffee, we're getting 120 degrees. For hot chocolate, we're getting 10 over 90 times 360, which is equal to 40 degrees. And for tea, it's 50 over 90 times 360, which is 200 degrees. Now, how do we sketch this? Now, to sketch this, we're going to take our protractor. From the protractor, we're going to mark the angles of 120, 40, and 200. So if I do it roughly, 40 will be somewhere over here. This is your hot chocolate. Then 120 is going to be somewhere over here. That's your coffee, and this entire thing is your tea. Obviously, using a protractor, it's going to be more accurate since I'm drawing freehand over here. So approximately that's hot chocolate, that's coffee, and that's tea. Question 15 says, which is greater, 15% of 88 or 20% of 62? You must show all your working. So for 15% of 88, we do 15 over 100 times 88. Off always means multiplication in these cases. And that is going to give us 13.2. And for 20% of 62, we do 20 over 100 times 62. And that's going to give us 12.4. So we can clearly see that this is greater. Question 16 says simplify m times m times m times m. So when we're multiplying variables, what changes is the power, not the coefficient, especially like when like the variable doesn't have like a coefficient greater than 1. So m times m times m is m to the power of 4, not 4m. You will get 4m if you add the m's. So if you're adding m 4 times, then the answer is 4m. Then it says in a competition, a player gets 5 points for each game they win, 2 points for each game they draw, and 0 points for each game they lose. Amy wins X games and draws Y games. Write down an expression in terms of X and Y for the total number of points Amy gets. So if she's winning X games and drawing Y games, 5 points for the win. So 5x plus 2y. That's your expression. Question 17 says here the girls needed to make 20 shortbread biscuits. Ingredients for 20 shortbread biscuits includes 120 grams of butter, 200 grams of flour, and 50 grams of sugar. Heidi wants to make 30 shortbread biscuits. How much of each ingredient will Heidi need? So if 120 grams of butter is for 20 biscuits, for 10 biscuits, we will need 60 grams of butter, and we will need 100 grams of flour and 25 grams of sugar. So for 20 biscuits, this is the amount of ingredients we need, and for 10 biscuits, this is the amount that we need. So for 30, it's going to be the sum of these two. So for 30 biscuits, butter is going to be 120 plus 60, which is 180 grams. So that's your butter. For flour, that's 200 plus 100, which is 300 grams. And lastly, for sugar, that's 50 plus 25, which is 75 grams. An alternate method is that you can find the amount needed for one biscuit for each of the three ingredients, and then times that amount by 30 to get the amount for 30 biscuits. So you can either do this or that. Question 18 says, on the grid above, rotate the shaded shape 180 degrees about 0, 0. And this is our center of rotation. And since it's being rotated 180 degrees about 0, 0. So if we look at our points, 5, 4 will become -5, -4. 1, 4 will become -1, -4. 2, 2 will be -2, -2. And 4, 2 will be -4 and -2. So now we just connect the points. And this is our rotation. If you think about this, 90 degree will be like this. So another 90 degree will be this. So that's why the shape is in this direction and not the other way around. Then it says Mike was asked to reflect shape A in the line with equation x equals to 3. Mike's answer is shown on the grid. His answer is wrong. Explain why. So basically what he did wrong was he reflected the shape in the line y equals to 3. X equals to 3 is this line. This is x equals to 3. So the shape should have been like this, basically. This is the correct shape. He reflected the shape in y equals to 3 line instead of x equals to 3. Question 19 says, on the grid, draw the graph of y equals to 3x minus 2 for values of x from -2 to +3. So for -2 to +3, what we can do is that we can either create a table of values, or we can just find the x-intercept, y-intercept, and then the endpoints. So when you put x equals to -2 in this equation, what we get is 3 times -2 minus 2, which is basically -6 minus 2. That's -8. And when you put x equals to 3, that's y equals to 3 times 3 minus 2, 9 minus 2, and that is 7. So we have -2, -8, and we have 3, 7. Y-intercept is -2, so when x is 0, y is -2. And when y is 0, x is 2/3. So I think that's enough values for us to sketch the graph. Now just plot that -2 and -8, 3 and 7, 0, -2. And 2 by 3, 0 is going to come somewhere over here. So if you just connect these, this is our line. And yeah, 2 by 3 is over here. So that's your graph for this line of equation. Question 20 says ABC and BCD are isosceles. ABC and BCD are isosceles triangles. AB equals to BC equals to CD. Angle CAB is 81. Angle BCD is 4 times angle ABC. Find the size of angle ABC is to the size of angle CBD, giving your answer in the form of 1:n. You must show all your working. So first, you need to find angle ABC, which is this one. And we can easily do that by subtracting 81 2 times from 180. Why? Because it's an isosceles triangle. And an isosceles triangle, we have two equal angles. So ABC is 180 minus twice of 81, which gives us 18 degrees. Now it's saying find the size of angle ABC is to the size of angle CBD. So this is the next angle that we need to find. So what we can do is that we can find angle BCD. BCD is 4 times ABC, so 4 times 18, which equals to 72 degrees. So once again, another isosceles triangle. So we can subtract 72 from 180 and then divide that by 2 to find the value of CBD. So CBD is 180 minus 72 divided by 2, which gives us 54 degrees. So size of angle ABC, size of angle BCD, ABC is 18 is to 54, which simplifies to 1:3. That is your final answer. Question 21 says factorize 6x minus 15. So to factorize this, what we do is we see if there's anything common between 6x and 15. Both 6 and 15 come in the 3 times table. So 3 is the highest common factor. And with that, we're left with 2x minus 5 in the bracket. Part B says factorize m squared plus 5m. Once again, we see whether we have any highest common factor between the two terms. And as you can see, m is common. So m bracket, m plus 5 is our factorized answer. Then question 22 says find the highest common factor of 63 and 105. So the highest common factor of 63 and 105 is going to be what? So to find the highest common factor of 63 and 105, we can prime factorize these. 63 is 9 times 7. 9 is 3 times 3. So these are our prime factors. For 105, we have 21 times 5. 21 is 7 times 3. So now if you notice, the common factors are 7 and 3. So highest common factor of 63 and 105 is 7 times 3, which is 21. That's your answer. Question 3 says, write 5.3 times 10 to the power 4 as an ordinary number. So right now, this number is given in standard form. So to write an ordinary number form, we just multiply 5.3 with 10,000, because that's 10 to the power 4, and that gives us 53,000. That's your answer. And it says write 7.4 times 10 to the power of 5. It says write 7.4 times 10 to the power of negative 5 as an ordinary number. So now, we're going to move the decimal place towards the left side, not the right-hand side, because the power is negative. So when you move it 5 places to the left-hand side, what we'll have is 0.000074. That's your answer. Question says calculate the value of 9.7 times 10 to the power of 6 plus 2.45 times 10 to the power of 7, giving your answer in standard form. So we're going to take 10 to the power of 6 common, and that leaves us with 9.7 plus 2.45 times 10 in the bracket. So that's going to be 9.7 plus 24.5, which is basically equal to 34.2 times 10 to the power of 6. So remember, in silent form, the decimal comes after the first non-zero digit. So when you move the decimal 1 place to the left, that's going to give us 10 to the power of 7. You add 1 in the power. So 3.42 times 10 to the power of 7 is the final answer. Question 24 says diagram shows a solid triangular prism. One is trying to draw the side elevation of the solid prism from the direction of the arrow. Here is your answer on a centimeter grid. Explain why Rana's side elevation is not correct. Rana's side elevation is not correct because what she's using is the hypotenuse over here. Instead, she should have used the perpendicular height, not the slant height. So she used the slant height instead of the perpendicular height. Part B says on the centimeter grid below, draw a plan of the solid prism. So what we'll do is we will take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 centimeters over here and 7 over here. And we'll divide this into 2 equal parts. 3 centimeter over here, 3 over here, and 7 over here. Question 25 says the company has 25,000 workers. The number of workers increases at a rate of 6% per year for 3 years. Calculate the total number of workers at the end of 3 years. So for this, our initial amount is 25,000. And the number of workers are increasing at a rate of 6% per year. So 1 plus 6 over 100 whole power 3. This is basically like compound interest. So that's going to give us 29,775.4. So approximately when you round it, that's 29,775. That's your answer. Question 26 says Habib has 2 identical tins. He puts 600 grams of flour into one of the tins. The flour fills the tin completely. The density of the flour is 0.6 grams per centimeter cube. Habib puts 600 grams of salt into the other tin. The salt doesn't fill the tin completely. The volume of the space in the tin that is not filled with salt is 700 centimeter cube. Work out the density of the salt. You must show all your working. So we have 2 identical tins, and he's putting 600 grams of flour into one of the tins, and the density of the flour is 0.6 grams per centimeter cube. So you need to remember that the volume is not going to change because the tins are identical. So if you find the volume of first tin, that's going to be mass over density. So that gives us 600 divided by 0.6, and that equals 1000 centimeter cube. And it says that he put 600 grams of salt in the other tin. The salt does not completely fill the tin, and the volume of the space in the tin that is not filled is 700 centimeter cube, which means the one that's filled, that's 300 centimeter cube. We have to figure out the density of the salt. So volume is 300 equals to mass, which is 600, divided by density. This is for salt. This was flour. So density would be 600 divided by 300, and that is 2 grams per centimeter cube. That's your answer. Question 27 says, Tim has 2 biased coins, coin A and coin B. He's going to throw both coins. The probability that coin A will land on heads is 0.6. The probability that coin B will land on heads is 0.55. Complete the tree diagram below. So if the probability of landing on heads for coin is 0.6, for not heads is going to be 1 minus 0.6, which is 0.4. Similarly, for coin B, if it's 0.55 for heads, for not heads, it's going to be 1 minus 0.55, which is 0.45. And this is going to be repeated over here as well because there are no other changes. Part B says Tim throws coin A once and he throws coin B once. Work out the probability that both coins land on heads. So for both coins to land on heads, this is the rule that we're following. So that's going to be 0.6 times 0.55, which is going to give us 0.33. That's a probability. Question 28 says a paddling pool is in the shape of a cylinder. The pool has a radius of 100 centimeters. It has a depth of 30 centimeters. The pool is empty. It is then filled with water at a rate of 250 centimeter cube per second. Work out the number of minutes it takes to fill the pool completely, giving your answer correct to the nearest minute. So to fill it completely, what we need to do is we need to find the volume first. So volume of a cylinder is pi r square h. That's pi times the radius, which is 100 squared, times your depth or height, which is 30. So this gives us a value of 942,477.796 centimeter cube. Now for the number of minutes, the rate is 250. So a rate of 250 centimeter cube per second means that we're dividing the volume by time. Which means we're going to divide the volume by the rate, and that will give us 3769.91 seconds. Now they want the answer correct to the nearest minute. For the nearest minute, what we will do is that we'll convert this into minutes. 1 minute equals to 60 seconds. So 1 second equals to 1 over 60 minute, which means 3769.91 divided by 60 is going to be 62.83 minutes. So nearest minute is going to be 63. That is your final answer. Question 29 says w equals to 40 minus t square. Calculate the value of w when t equals to -5. That's going to be 40 minus -5 square. 40 minus 25, and that is 15. Then it says p equals to h minus 5 over 3. Make h the subject of the formula. Cross multiply to get rid of the fraction. 3p equals to h minus 5. Move 5 to the other side to isolate h. And that's your answer.